you very much for accepting our invitation to join us. We have here our internal consultants and then our external consultants as well. We have all heard about this initiative that the government is doing, making unemployment a thing of the past by giving 100,000 jobs to people who are currently unemployed and sending them to various sectors to be employed. Well, I understand all the processes have been followed. They've done interviews and they've placed 100,000 people. They also have coordinators and leaders who are going to supervise them in their various workplaces when they go and start work. And they believe that with every situation, like when you buy a new fridge or television, you need a manual to be able to guide how you should install it. If we don't have such a manual, some people can use the wrong voltage and then the equipment will explode or get spoiled. So they've asked us to assist them to equip these workers to be with some skills that will enable them to be productive in the areas of work. And the plan is that they want to roll everything out by the 1st of October. So they have been very busy organizing the interviews, placing them, and it's now time for the orientation with the people. So we are training not only the employees to be, but we are training them, the supervisors, as it were, people who are going to supervise them as well. We are training people who are research fellows, people who are going to continue with the research to see how it will pan out. Now, what is interesting about this initiative is that it's not a job for life. And we have to in our orientation, let them know that it's not a job for life. They're supposed to make themselves redundant within 2 years. Either start their own businesses or look for other jobs. So that is their plan. So our role is to give them the orientation on what NABCO initiatives, National Nation Builders Corps, I think what it's called. It's called NABCO. What it stands for and what is their vision and what they are supposed to do. We call them the KPIs. And ironically, the KP and I acronym for knowledge, punctuality, and integrity. The whole idea is that if we are going to be the ones championing or teaching them these skills, then we ourselves should show those KPIs. I.e., we should be knowledgeable, we should be punctual, and we should have integrity. So we are going to send all of us out there, and we have asked what is, the internal consultants will do a lot of the places that are further away. We have some people on Skype for, what do you call it? Kumasi and Taprade and Tamale. I don't know whether they got to Tamale, but we have a recording going on so that those who were unable to be here will be able to engage them one-on-one and then tell them what to do. But some people are moving out tomorrow because they're starting on Thursday. We are going to meet with these 100 people in this format. We're going to have training centers. They're going to be big auditoriums that can seat 300 people, 400 people, 500 people, some of them 1,000, in the places where they call their metro, their head offices, you know. So you can have a place where you'll be speaking to somebody or some people like they're in National Theatre. There will be a lot of them there. So of course, if there are a lot more, the level of engagement is not going to be as much as if they are like we are here. But definitely we want some sort of interaction. We expect that where the numbers are big, it will take them a bit longer to be settled. So the plan is that we are supposed to start at 9 at the various places and then engage them or give them the orientation for an hour and a half. And then when we are done, invite questions and then let them go. And so we'll be thinking that we'll settle in, we'll finish everything by 11:30, if that is right. And then we will let them go. Because there's no what do you call, refreshment or anything. The problem they have is that they're dealing with a very tight budget, and so because of the numbers, even if it is 10 cedis meat pie and drink, you multiply it and it becomes millions. So already the thing is expensive. So what they are saying is that they want to train them during the times when we don't even have money for a bottle of water. So they'll train them for short periods so that they wouldn't need to do any refreshment. They'll bus them to the places and then take them back. And then they will organize some, I don't know, maybe a package to be easier for them to give them something. But that is not what we are involved with. We are interested in making the training interesting and something that they can remember. And we are here to give you a blueprint. Of course, everybody has their style of presentation and the style of delivery. And we're going to encourage you to be as innovative as possible within the confines in which we've been told. So based on that, we have some slides. We are going to do PowerPoint presentation and make sure that wherever the centers are, there are projectors and screens. So you just get your equipment attached with your pen drive, and then you can lecture. And then our video that we have done that also spells the message out. We'll give each of you a copy, and then you go and we'll show all that to you in a few minutes.
Nation builders, today begins your journey to greatness. How ready are you to work? Work is an activity in which one exerts strength or faculties to do or perform something, or a specific task, duty, function, or assignment of being a part or phase of some larger activity. So I ask again, how ready are you to work? Here are your 3 core values. KPI: knowledge, punctuality, integrity. Knowledge: you need to know your job. What are your deliverables? What is your job description? Are you an expert or an amateur? Do you need more knowledge? When in doubt, seek clarification. Know your work. Exceed expectations. Punctuality: to be punctual is to be on time. Come to work on time. Do your work by the time agreed upon. In other words, observe deadlines and exceed your internal as well as external customers' expectations. Integrity: doing the right thing even when no one is watching. To top all these, dress well, speak well, be professional, and remain neat and well-groomed. Nation builders, are you ready? Remember, K for knowledge, P for punctuality, and I for integrity. Repeat after me. K for knowledge, P for punctuality, and I for integrity. That is your KPI.
Good afternoon. So I guess when you're put on a spot like this, it's a bit difficult. These are professional trainers and experts. I want us to have a discussion or a conversation so that this will be a roadmap to guide you in terms of how you would then facilitate the training. Ideally, the time span for the training is about 3 hours, but you can do it in an hour and a half. What I will do here is to try to show how you can do it, but you do it as and when you get there. So you make it more interactive and engaging, just so you can exhaust the hours concerned. So that was a short video as an introduction to the presentation proper. All right, so let me ask a question. Why do we work? I think questions help to elicit conversations, which then becomes a starting point for change. So I want to throw to you, why do we work? Why do you think we work? What's the essence for working? So if you want to speak, you just lift your hand, you mention your name, and then if nobody's speaking, I'll put someone on the spot. Yes, James.
You work for pay.
You work for pay. Okay. Yes, a different point. Yes, please.
Always exile or inner fulfillment that you want to grab, except for when must fulfill that desire.
Okay, for fulfillment. Yes, madam.
You work to survive physically.
To survive. Okay. Yes.
To make a contribution.
Right.
To make a contribution to society.
Okay. Can impact.
I'll say through your talent and abilities. You impact through the talent related.
Okay, so you agree with the impact on society. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Get experience.
To get experience.
And also share experience.
So to get and share. Okay. All right, so this is a very interesting one. I was expecting a certain trend of answers. The answers you have given put me in a very tight corner. But I'll still table what I think is the reason why we work. I think we work to learn. So the answers I was expecting, which you played around, I was expecting answers that are end effects of what learning produces. So one is pay. Pay is one. But fulfillment drives the end result. So I was expecting to hear more of the end result, and then I could come back and say that, okay, learning drives all of that. So I think you're pretty smart, most of you.
Of course. We are trainers.
But I think that the essence of work is to learn. So when somebody offers you a job, a person has offered you an opportunity to learn. What that means is that you're going to build your experience, build your confidence, increase your leadership ability so you can do better, or better, so if you moved on to a higher level, you could negotiate for a better compensation. It's good to want money, but money is an end result. What actually helps you earn more? And that's why for a chief executive and an entry-level role, the salaries are not same. Your paycheck is determined by your learnings. The quantum of your learnings ultimately determine your paycheck. All right, so let's look at the second question. What is the total value of your compensation?
It depends on your knowledge and your skill.
Okay, so your knowledge and skill. Okay, now what I'm asking is what actually amounts to your compensation? When we say compensation,
Knowledge, skill, ability.
the time. Okay, so knowledge, skill, time. Okay, maybe your question is not clear. The question is not what goes into the computation of salary or compensation. But what I'm asking is, let me ask it this way: is compensation just salary? So that's the question I want to ask. If it is not just salary, what else is it? Yes.
Following the interruption, but since we are just preparing, may I suggest that you simplify that question so that the audience will not be at sea, like how you broke it down just now.
Okay, you can do that. It's interesting they actually got it yesterday.
It's important because it's a big crowd, and sometimes their level of language is not what we expect.
That's
And
true.
so we may lose them if they think it's about their heads.
That's true. So well noted. So we can change that. Okay, so now we get the understanding. So if it's not salary, what else is it? What's the total value of your compensation aside salary? Yes. Total value of what you bring on board. Yes.
If I can understand your question, then it means that apart from the salary that you have, one of the things that becomes is the experience that
Sorry?
the experience that you are part.
Experience.
The experience is part of the conversation. So maybe the pay may not be enough for me, but the experience that I will acquire doing that job also adds to the compensation that I have.
Yes, sir.
Other areas of the work, aside salary, opportunity for you to go organization, non-monetary benefits that can gain
Great. Jennifer, looks like you want to talk. Hi. Yeah. Exposure. Okay, so all that we've said is correct. I'm doing this because I want to situate this presentation within a context. We are speaking to graduates. We need to shift their mindset from salary to understanding that there's a bigger reason why you work. I think that the total value of your compensation, in my opinion, is not just your paycheck, what you take home, the experience you garner, like Adam said, and then also the relationships you build. Now, all of this should lead to fulfillment. There's no business. Yes, Jennifer.
So are we allowed to edit the content? Is that
Yeah, you're allowed. I mean,
so
okay.
if we want them to give us answers apart from salary, should we specifically say apart from your salary, what else?
Yeah.
So that
Yes.
Yes.
I think she made that point. Yes, so we can do that. We can tweak the presentation. So the total value of your compensation is your take home, that's one, but also the experience you garner, and then the relationships that you build. And these things are irreplaceable. So you can lose your job, but nobody can take your experience away from you. As a matter of fact, your experience could help you get or land a better job. Okay, so I can ask this question. If you don't know, it's fine. But what's the purpose of NABCO? And what is your contribution? The reason I put this question there is so we know that they understand what NABCO is about in the first place, and also how their individual work is linked to the bigger picture of NABCO. So, for instance, yesterday when I asked the question, some people said that, okay, NABCO is a government initiative to help arrest graduate unemployment. And then there were some people who couldn't tell us specifically what their roles were, though they had been inducted into office as coordinators and had some orientation. There were a number of them that were able to say that, okay, my work is to do this. Someone wasn't too clear. So one of them, who is a regional monitor, said that I'll be monitoring their work. And I asked, what will you be monitoring? And he was quiet for a moment. And then I heard somebody say, okay, the KPIs. So the objective of this question is to help ascertain whether they understand what NABCO is about. Because there's no essence working in a system you don't understand what the system is about. So they must have a clear understanding of what the purpose of NABCO is. And then more importantly, how their individual work is linked to the bigger picture of NABCO. When research shows that when people understand and have a sense of, a real sense of understanding of their work, they do better or they perform at better rates than those who don't understand why they work. So that's the objective of this question. So the purpose.
Adults learning, there is no wrong or right.
So the purpose.
As long as the answer doesn't come for it to be wrong or right.
So what's the purpose of NABCO?
So maybe you may want to enforce it so that since we are going out to be, if somebody asks us,
Actually,
say something.
Okay, so NABCO is a government initiative that has been set up to address the problem of graduate unemployment. And the objective is to recruit, train, and place about 100,000 they call them beneficiaries, to work in different models. So they have Educate Ghana, Digitize Ghana, Revenue Ghana, etc. And these things are on the internet. If you Google, you can find them. That's the models for the beneficiaries. So what we need to know this, so that when we ask them and they answer, we know they are right or wrong. But what I was talking about essentially was the why of this question. So that we need to know if they know why NABCO is created and how their work fits into the bigger picture. Yes, sir.
The Vice President saying that it's also for them to have exposure and experience, because oftentimes when they apply for a job, they are told they don't have any experience. So the purpose is for them to gain experience so that they could also...
Beyond NABCO, they could be...
Yes, they could find themselves in their own job, or they could also compete favorably in the job
market
and seeking market. So
that's true.
This is only for 3 years.
That's true. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Just to add, it's also a stopgap measure that the government is introducing. And what I heard was that if you get a job elsewhere, you can leave and you can move. But if you stay up to the end of it, it's not a guarantee that there are instances that where the model that you were on, you could be employed full time.
In that space, yes.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that is correct.
That's true. That's correct.
Using savings and they're not careful to use them.
That's true. Yes.
Is it training for, if the group about 300, are they going to go to the 3 days, 1.5 hours session?
Yes.
Okay, you have the same group for the 3 days.
Different groups. So in a day you have 2 sessions. There's a morning and an afternoon
The
session.
the group will train once.
Only once. And they don't come again. I think that we need to also mention that, sorry, Andy, just now, I'll take your point. I mean, this is like, see this as going to a university to deliver a seminar. The numbers are huge for some of us, and depending on where you'll be going. So it's not going to be as we see it here. It's you pretty much will make like a seminar presentation, or you give a talk. There'll be a few questions here and there. We will give off our best, but I just want to guard against the perception that it might be this professional and so regulated, because the numbers are huge, and we know how students or graduates often think and behave in seminars and conferences. So it will be more of giving a speech or a talk at a conference where you are hammering on certain points, but the effect won't be like this, where up close like a corporate training environment, sort of. Yes, and just.
What are the expectations?
What are their expectations? Okay. A third question. That's a good point. Yes.
I'm wondering if it's possible for you to provide us, the facilitators, with clear documentation about NABCO, so that we are ready to answer any questions. Because if you made
I don't have enough of it. I'll do that. I'll do that.
Their role and the job. So now that they are all part of this NABCO initiative, we need to understand what the values and everything are and expectations are, so that we can focus on exactly why we are doing.
So we'll share the website so that we can read from their website, the official website.
The website is actually very comprehensive.
So that's what I tried to summarize at the beginning. At the beginning, for those of you who were here, I shared the fact that the government has decided to do something about unemployment, and they are using the Nation Builders Corps to do that. That is NABCO. They are trying to equip and give jobs to 100,000 people. And instead of sending them out to the various workplaces to sink or swim, like when you buy a new TV or fridge, you would want to make sure you know how it is fixed before you blow it up. So we are going to give them, equip them on what their expectations are. And then most important on their list is that they should walk the talk, and we want them to know their job. So the KPIs are in the knowledge, punctuality, and integrity. And then they should also understand that this is not a job for life. They need to make themselves redundant after a few years, maximum 2 or something, and they should cut the umbilical cord from the job they are putting them in. Either they should start their own businesses or look for another job. So all we do is to point them to that direction. Yeah, you've gotten this job, but you shouldn't rest on your oars. You should do X, Y, Z, and be in readiness to move on. This is just to get you moving. So, and then the way they dress, the way they speak, the way they do their things, transparency, honesty, all those things we need to let them understand.
So, these points you have summarized there on the website, so we can go and
yes. Generally, what they stand for and their objectives, their vision, on the website. Yeah, we have just, let me check.
Okay, hi. I think that as much as it will be good for us to be knowledgeable about what NABCO is, we should let them know we don't speak for the government and we don't speak on the subject of NABCO. We are there for a specific purpose, because if you don't do that, the conversation might end up they making inquiries about everything that maybe they would have wanted to know that they hadn't gotten the chance to know. And then before you realize you're 1.5 hours or 3 hours out. And we don't want people to quote us. Because we don't want any controversy, so we don't want any political.
We are not their spokesperson.
So I think that as much as it's important for us to know what NABCO is for our own good, we shouldn't make it look as if we are
spokespersons for NABCO.
So that's what I'm saying.
Great.
So our mandate is what I have summarized.
Yes.
Yeah. And then maybe I should have mentioned, there may be a coordinator there who will show a short video on NABCO activities. So that will take maybe another 15 minutes of our time. So that one talks about their vision and their mission and all those things. And that won't be our responsibility. Ours is to do what we are doing now. Rowan, you wanted to say?
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying, it's actually made my point, but when we're delivering the training, we should be aware that, or shouldn't make it apolitical, because we do get people, mixture of, I support this party, I support that party, and people want to know, or would want to kind of put the program down. We're not there to defend any government or say this, but we need to know about NABCO on the surface. We need to be able to give them where they get more information on NABCO without having to get bogged down in trying to regurgitate what NABCO is or what it's supposed to do. Essentially, we're going to focus on the KPIs. You're signing up to a program. How's that program going to help you? What is expected of you? And what you're likely to get. The termination of the program, like you said, is not a lifelong job. So that's what we're supposed to stress on, how they can fulfill the KPIs and to an extent have a longevity or be able to move out of the program and better themselves.
Right. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody.
The next question, what's the purpose of NABCO?
That one should not be put there.
The purpose of NABCO then?
Sorry.
Maybe in that regard, the purpose of NABCO may not be the right thing to
Maybe we could ask them why the we signed up for it. So we can have like
I want to also ask, what's the purpose of us asking these questions? Like, what's the purpose of NABCO? You said for them, you want them to get an understanding, because with everything you do, you need to understand. But when we do ask the question, are we expecting answers from them, like the huge crowds? Are we then going to answer when there's no answer coming back? Answer on their behalf? Because that's what I think should happen. When you throw questions out there,
like a rhetorical question.
So if it's a rhetorical question, then again.
Well, these slides were made for a smaller audience, for the coordinators. So I mean, it's good we are also engaging so we can tweak certain things. So it's not cast in stone, of course.
I think that I don't know whether you've got a question why NABCO was set up. That would probably be a better question. Or for you to explain to them that the government is thinking about you.
If we can avoid it altogether, I think it's better. Okay, so
I think honestly, I think we should just move from anything NABCO. So that because they've already signed up, so they have the knowledge. They don't quote us in the media.
No, everybody signed up for something.
No, but they've already signed up.
No, you see, we have already they have other orientation with the NABCO crowd. They are coordinators and whatever it is. We are just there to ensure that they have their skills. They are equipped to work. So attitudes and based on the KPI. Knowledge, punctuality, and integrity. So we're going to give them scenarios around the world of work where they have to be knowledgeable, they have to be punctual, observe deadlines, integrity, all those things. this was for the group that was going to supervise them. So they needed the ideal shop.
There's a hand.
As much as we're thinking about taking that question out, I think it actually helps us to address the question which Mr. Dan spoke to earlier on. What's the purpose of NABCO? So NABCO is in place to help you develop capacity, to help you develop skills. You'll be in this program for 2 years. After 2 years, you're supposed to set up a business on your own or help you get a job whilst you're doing that. So you, the trainer, is communicating this to them. So it serves as just an introduction to you speaking to that particular issue. I think that's what it means.
And let me just add to that. I think in doing that, we're not really speaking for government. We're just reiterating something that is in sync with the whole training we are given. We're given the training, it's a skills enhancement program, part of it. And so answering that question affirms what NABCO is about. So you're supposed to develop skills that could help you find a job after the program or start your own business. So I think it's the narrative. I don't think it will come across as political or as being spokesperson of.
Or we rephrase it.
Or just answer the question asked.
Why?
Information
Yes.
for them.
Sorry?
Sorry, can we do like what opportunities does NABCO present? Or you being in this program for 2 years, what opportunities? Because I think that the first slide answers
What is work?
what this seems to answer.
This one.
About what goes beyond salary and all those things you're going to develop whilst in the program. So asking this again is like taking it back. It will drag the training.
That's fine. So
We should also put it in context that this crop of people here are different from the crop we met yesterday.
yes.
And the ones we're going to speak to will probably be quite impressionable and therefore may not question the status quo. You understand? But when you invite them to ask questions and things, they will ask. So you might want to focus on our mandate, which is to focus on the KPIs.
I know. Is somebody taking notes of these things here so that we can all be aligned?
Adam is doing that.
Adam.
And then when you ask them, what is my contribution?
I think we are actually moving away from all those questions.
So we're going to leave that.
Like we agreed, yes.
Okay, all right.
So we'll send the final templates to your emails.
Okay, so the NABCO values are basically 3. So there's knowledge, there's punctuality, there's integrity. And these are self-explanatory, so I won't waste so much time on this. So on knowledge, we expect them to have a clear understanding of their role. They must learn the skills required to execute their role. And also read materials relating to their sector. So if you are posted to say GRA, you must understand what GRA does to help you do your role better. And then when not sure about your role, you clarify. And then on punctuality, we are talking about reporting to work on time. We emphasize that you seek permission if you cannot get to work on time. So excuses like traffic and rain are not acceptable. And then you complete and submit all assignments within deadlines. Again, if you cannot, you negotiate for extension. You respond to your clients swiftly, and then last but not least, you show positive attitude at work. This is a big deal. It's a big deal because of its importance in the world of work. So specifically, I mentioned that integrity is judged by 3 things. 1, your commitment to your words, your relationship with the opposite sex, and how you handle money. So first, don't give promises when you can't keep them, especially when you're dealing with both internal and external clients. And then also, you must account for every peso of money you're given, if it's official money. So you don't assume that there was a surplus and so you keep it, because it's official. And then last but not least, you must manage relationships with the opposite sex. And here we talked extensively about leaders that fell for the integrity debacle. So Bill Clinton, Dominic Strauss-Kahn, who was an IMF managing director, had an illicit sexual affair with a Guinean immigrant, lost his job, lost his job, was going to begin French president, and lost all those opportunities. And so they should be very careful how they relate with the opposite sex. So these are the 3 thematic values of NABCO: knowledge, punctuality, integrity.
That means we ourselves must be punctual.
Sorry?
So that means we ourselves as trainers, we must be punctual when we're starting to go for the training.
All right.
I'll just recommend that we split them so that we can deal with each other's activities. These are very important things.
We'll come to that. It's separated. We'll come to that. So this is just this is something to emphasize. So we said about 80% of all organizational costs is attributable to the following: poor planning, ineffective communication, and indecision. So if you don't plan well, if you don't communicate effectively, and if you don't take decisions at the right time, it has implications for the organization. So it's split. So knowledge. So we look at knowledge in 4 domains. Clarity of role. It pretty much emphasizes the things that I've said early on. So you can rush through them if you want to, or you can engage. So get knowledge about your role, focus on your key deliverables, and then here avoid the politics. We can have a conversation about this. What we meant by this is there are politics in every organization. You want to, avoid it and focus on why you are employed. So focus on your deliverables and deliver results and ignore the politics. So backbiting, hitting back on people. Not the politics, the work politics. That's why the politics is avoid the politics. So we can add work politics or office politics just to bring clarity to it. And then soft skills. So we expect them to learn delegation skills, supervisory skills, communication skills, how to negotiate, and then how to resolve conflicts. And then reading and information. So what are the trending news within your sector? So like I said earlier on, they'll be posted to different areas. So if you're an educate guy, I'm sure you'll be ingenious. If you're teaching, what are the issues about double track system if your student asks you or something? So you should be informed of the current issues within your sector. And then follow the experts. So what the think tanks and the media people are saying, invest in personal development, buy books, attend seminars if you can. And all of this ties to your future because obviously you'll be rolled out of the program after a while. And then the pull and push factor. So as much as possible, you should try to get information from the top and also cascade it when necessary. And then results. So we mentioned that you should strive to exceed expectations, deliver results on time, proofread reports before you send them. We talked about a 20% error, that it is unacceptable to send a report that has more than 20% error in a report. What it means that your boss has to literally undo your work for you. And no boss likes that. And then also you use your skills to help the team win. It's a quote by Nelson Mandela. And then punctuality. So we looked at it in 2 areas. You can add more if you want to. So reporting time to work. So report to work on time. First thing, check and respond to your emails. Draw your daily to-do list, what you do for the day. And then manage your energy, very important. And then on assignments, we said don't procrastinate. Try to meet all deadlines. If you can't renegotiate for an extension, prioritize tasks into urgent, important, etc. And then be prepared to go the extra mile. There are times where work will require that you stay on a bit late and finish them. And then on integrity, like I mentioned, words, money, relationships. So think through your words before you say them. Use words to inspire, not destroy. And keep your promises. Account to the last person when giving official money. Always return surpluses after spending. Show proof of purchase of payment. Leave audit trails in your financial management and have a personal budget. So spend within your means. And then relationships. Don't ask for sexual favors in return for professional help. This actually led to a very interesting conversation yesterday. But many of them were happy that it came up and they affirmed it. The fact that they took turns to talk to their colleagues that this is very important. And I also shared an experience of when I went to do national service in Kintampo, the year before, one of the national service personnel was lynched because he had camped a GHS graduate in his room for weeks. And they told us that we should be careful. So it was just to advise them that they should be very careful how they manage illicit relationships with the opposite sex. Think about your reputation tomorrow. Speak the truth, always right wrong, and be a dependable and supportive friend. So Warren Buffett says, in looking for people to hire, look for 3 qualities: integrity, intelligence, and energy. And if they don't have the first, the 2 will kill you. Yeah, Mario.
I was just saying that what if it's the other way around, where you are asked for a sexual favor before you given the job or something?
Come again, I don't get a question.
Can we go back to the previous? You said don't ask for sexual favors in terms of professional. And I'm saying what if it's the other way around? So you are asked to do the sexual act before you leave.
Favor or something in your life.
Before you are giving favor. What do you think?
It's interrelated, isn't it? Yeah. But we also emphasize on not looking so much at the sexual act. As Christians, the bar has been raised. By the time you have thought about it, you've already committed the act in God's sight. So what we are saying is that inappropriate words or touching, some of these things, necessary looking down people's cleavage and stuff like that.
You remember, sorry to cover, I remember they also said that they can't be blamed for what people wear.
This is what came up yesterday. That they can't be blamed for what people wear. And then we said you can't be blamed for what people wear. It means when you see somebody wearing something, that doesn't mean you are entitled to rape the person. And then the men complain that with the men, they can't ever say when they are being raped. So the whole focus was on the sexual act. So we said it's not just about that, it's about the way we behave with each other at the workplace. I remember I was on a board once and there was a comment about, they were talking about how it was all right for them to consider people who were not at the session, at the board meeting itself. You could, once you can log in and contribute, to be taken as you are part of it and you'll be given your sitting allowance. So instead of saying this in this manner, the chairman, who was a man, said, and maybe Ellen, for instance, would be going shopping and therefore might not be available. So shopping. I mean, so why did you have to say so? We women frivolous things like shopping. So I mean, as soon as he said it out, I must have looked at him in a certain way. So he quickly, very smart guy, quickly said, and for instance, mention another man. But these are things, the nuances that happen, and people get away with some of those things. So it's inappropriate words. Sometimes you just have to think of what we want to learn to understand that it is not okay to say whatever you like in the workplace, and it all falls under integrity. I don't know whether it may be interesting to do a short role play at some point, so you have just to see how things have been enforced. If you see that the chemistry is right, you can just ask them to come and do a role. What do you think can come up in a typical workplace that will enforce some of these KPIs we're talking about? Somebody say something about integrity or knowledge, so that you get 2 people or 3 to act something. I don't know whether that will be feasible. You don't want to talk too much. And then you can get them to critique what they saw. Right. Are you done?
So, no.
Okay, good.
So we rushed through some case studies with them. And this particularly speaks to the subject of knowledge. So you submit a wrong report just at the time your boss needs it. And we asked what could account for this and what solutions they could prefer to it. So they mentioned lack of the right or not having the right information. And then another person said procrastination. So then they gave direct responses to the causative agents. And that was helpful. The second one is on integrity. So you used official money and hoped to reimburse, but delayed till a forensic auditor came in to uncover this. You know, one of the reasons could be forgetfulness, which is still not acceptable because in the end you still have done something wrong. So we advise them that anytime you want to use official money, first, it's not even proper to do that. If you want to, so there was a question that came where you have official money with you, and suddenly a colleague collapses in the office. So life first before process. So what you do is that you can solve the problem, or you have to report. So we need to know that there are always caveats that exclude the rigid rule that you don't. We know it is illegal, but there are instances where you have to. Sorry.
Because school fees is up, and you have to pay school, so you quickly use your official money to pay school fees.
Yeah, that's different. I'm talking about a colleague collapses. Yeah, no, that's illegal.
And also for you, it is a life or death issue.
Talking about a colleague in the workplace.
For you, and when it is acceptable, it's like only life or death situation.
Yes, but there are other situations which may be there that you have to pay school fees or your child will be sacked.
That's what I'm trying to point out.
So that is also not a mandate.
It's not acceptable.
So you can give some of these examples. I remember there was an issue that I said one of those days. The topic was on integrity at the workplace or something like, well, whatever. Anyway, so I said a lot of us, what do we think? We are giving petrol coupons. Petrol coupons, you know, petrol coupons are given for fuel in some organizations. And then you go to a place where fuel is bought. And instead of buying the fuel, you ask for cash, or you ask for receipts. That shows that, well, maybe you bought 100 Ghana cedis. Meanwhile, your petrol coupon for the whole month is maybe 500. So you buy, and then you know that the petrol station, they'll ask you how many trust I also. You know, and you know, a lot of the people, except, but they've given me the money, I'm supposed to use it. So whether I use it or not, it's none of anybody's business. You know, and it was something that happened in the office space. And then there was one that I did with the Pentecost University, and they were students. So let's say I asked them the question: if your mom or your dad has given you money to buy books, you knew that the books were going to cost 200 Ghana cedis. So you got the money. But when you went to the bookstore, they said they had actually reduced the cost of the books to 120. How many of you will return the money? you go and give tithes and say that it is a, or you've been overpaid. You know how it is like where people get underpaid? Once you're underpaid, it's all right to go and shear out and get your money back. But when you're overpaid, it is like, God has been good to you. So you've been praying for more money and they've overpaid you for by 2,000 Ghana cedis. You go and pay tithe on the 2,000 Ghana cedis and then spend the money. A lot of people had that idea because even if you're in the public sector, the wahala it will take you to return that extra money will be too much trouble. So you rather keep the money and then use it for adoring or whatever they call it. Then you think you are in sync with the Holy Spirit. So some of these things, they are real situations where we don't know what is right and what is not, because everybody is doing it. So it seems like it's right. We can throw some of these questions out and see their reaction.
Okay, so this deals with punctuality. You constantly report to work late. What accounts for it and what are the responses? Thank you. Oh, I thought you clapped for me.
I know. This is the thing.